Up next, we share with you foreign media coverage of events here in this part of the world. And as always, Kim Sung-yeon joins me in the studio. Welcome, Sung-yeon.
Great to see you, Sunny. So today we have international coverage on the controversy surrounding President-elect Yoon Suk-yeol's plan to relocate the Blue House. Also, Korea's wartime sexual slavery victims looking to make their voices heard at the International Court of Justice. And finally, the latest energy talks between Korea, Germany, and Qatar. So let's dive right in. The Los Angeles Times reported on outgoing President Moon Jae-in's opposition to President-elect Yoon Suk-yeol's plan to relocate the presidential office, which the paper noted is a development that could put Yoon's ambitious plan in doubt. Yoon's announcement received much criticism, with pundits who believe there are other, more urgent matters at hand, such as Korea's pandemic response, addressing inequality, and dealing with North Korea's nuclear threats. Yoon says, however, that his plan to relocate is to allow him to better communicate with the public. The paper put into perspective that the relocation project would require Moon's support because the incumbent administration needs to form a budget to pay for the cost of the relocation. And in the meantime, AP News also mentioned that outgoing President Moon had earlier also promised to move out of the Blue House, but canceled the plans after failing to find an appropriate site for the new presidential office. So regarding the issue, Yoon said he was well aware of such concerns, but added that if he starts his term at the Blue House, it will become even harder to move out later.
I see. Moving forward, Sung-yeon, as you mentioned, Korea's surviving comfort women are looking to submit their case to the International Court of Justice, I hear.
Yes, that's right, Sunny. The Independent reported on the latest efforts by the Korean victims of Japan's wartime sexual slavery to seek an official apology, as well as historical recognition from the Japanese government. Now, one of the victims, Lee Yong-soo, went public with her story 30 years ago, and the paper notes the 93-year-old survivor is afraid she is running out of time to get closure to her ordeal. The paper said that with survivors continuing to pass away from old age, those remaining are worried that their history may be forgotten or distorted by Japan. And it further elaborated that Lee sent a petition last week pressing Seoul and Tokyo to jointly refer the issue to the International Court of Justice, adding that this is her latest and maybe final push to persuade the Korean and Japanese governments on the matter for good. The report noted that Lee leads an international group of sexual slavery survivors and advocates, and that the group wants Seoul to begin arbitration proceedings against Japan with a UN panel on torture unless Tokyo agrees to bring the case to the ICJ. Meanwhile, the Independent made a point that it is unclear whether Korea will consider bringing the matter to the UN, as it will swear in a new administration this May that is facing pressure to improve relations with our neighbor Japan.
Right, it is. Meanwhile, Sung-yeon, in the field of energy, Korea and Germany held related talks over in Qatar.
That's right, Sunny. So Korea, Germany, and Qatar held energy talks in gas-rich Qatar over the weekend amid the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. Reuters said officials from Korea and Germany held discussions in Qatar on Sunday in efforts to seek alternatives to Russian energy supplies, particularly amid concerns that the war between Russia and Ukraine could disrupt energy supply chains. The report noted that the Gulf Arab state is the world's top exporter of liquefied natural gas, having the third largest gas reserves after Russia and Iran. Qatar also accounts for more than a quarter of Korea's LNG imports. Now, Doha News, in the meantime, wrote that there's been a long history of energy ties between Korea and Qatar, explaining that Qatar's LNG shipments to Korea accounted for at least 30% of the country's energy needs last year, making the Gulf state Korea's largest LNG supplier. It also elaborated that Seoul and Doha share several long-term agreements in the energy field, and that the deals are not only limited to LNG, but include hydrogen technology as well. Both Korea and Qatar aim to develop hydrogen as a source of energy as they explore low-carbon energy solutions.
All right, Sung-yeon, as always, thank you very much for the coverage.
The pleasure is mine.